I'm Dr. Jordan Ewan. I'm an inventor and entrepreneur from Sydney, Australia.
I want to give it another go.
I've come to what just might be the most exciting place in the world right now for new private technology companies, China. Startup dragons here are shunning the traditional tech giants to set up on their own.
We're living through this one.
They're erupting with cutting-edge innovations.
That's a 3D printed house.
Exploiting and adapting the world's hottest tech, its most disruptive invention since the internet itself, to fire China and the world into the future.
Starting to build up my digital content.
I've come here because I want to see why China's so buzzing and how the country's biggest and most exciting cities forge the character and nature of its startups. Eight startups a minute are founded in China, and there's nowhere they are exploding more than in this country's most international, outward-looking region, the Yangtze Delta. Around 500,000 startups have been set up here in the past couple of years. This region has long been open to ideas and technology from around the world, and is home to some of China's most established industries, like cars, commerce, fashion, and finance. I've come here because it's mainland China's financial and commercial heart. It's one of the richest and most cosmopolitan regions, but it's also one that's bursting with new ideas. This is the NIO EP9.
Oh my God!
And it might just be the most exciting thing to ever come out of Shanghai's famous car sector. And it's made by a startup. A $1.5 million hypercar, top speed, 313 kilometers per hour. 0 to 200 in 7.1 seconds. Just like China's startup sector itself, it's lightning quick, super reactive, and very, very high tech. It's also completely electric.
Oh, I like this spaceship. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. Amazing. That was unbelievable. Oh, what a rush. What a rush. That was just... And it hugged the roads. It took some corners so quickly. Is the adrenaline still at work?
It's almost impossible to believe this car is made by a startup. And it's a great illustration of why tech companies in the Yangtze Delta are in the driving seat of China's future. And what's more amazing still is the way they went about perfecting this astonishing piece of engineering. NIO's founder is Li Bin.
在2015年初，我们又决定要做一辆全世界跑得最快的电动车。我们就确定了说，我们要用一个最短的时间去向别人证明我们自己可以做到我们的承诺。所以我们一开始是参加了 Formula E 的比赛。
Formula E is the electric car equivalent of Formula One, and in the very first season, aged just a few months old, NIO won the world title. It was that elite proving ground that laid the foundations for their road cars.
所以，其实 Formula E 上面，我们在空气动力学、在高性能的电机方面的这样的一些经验，当然都能够在这个车上面能够得到很好的应用。
In just 18 months, everything they had learned at the very top level was fine-tuned for their road car. It has 4 motors, one on each wheel to help the car hug the road, and 4 individual gearboxes for maximum transfer of power. Its aerodynamics mean it can generate 2.5 tons of downforce, enough to drive on the ceiling. And its batteries are water-cooled and interchangeable for fast switching. Shanghai has long been China's automotive capital, but traditional petrol cars are not the future for this region's auto sector. That's why NIO are focused on the next generation of cars. That means electric, for two very good reasons.
一方面是更环保，另外一方面更能够满足 autonomous driving 这样的一些需要、架构的需要，所以这两件事情，所以决定了电动车是未来。
It's that focus on the future that sums up NIO and the Yangtze Delta startups. It holds records for the fastest electric car around world-famous tracks like the Nürburgring in Germany. But it's so futuristic, it even holds records for the fastest lap around racetracks without a driver. In February 2017, an autonomous version of the car went round a US circuit at top speeds of more than 250 kilometers per hour. It's all about looking forwards, not back. And just like with many things in China, being fast, very fast.
Electric vehicle technology is taking off all over the world, and as far as cars are concerned, this is where China should be investing its energy. NIO represents the future.
The company was started in Shanghai to be near traditional car making, but it's exploiting the latest technologies that has propelled it ahead of the region's bigger car companies. And there's something else interesting that's come out of this region's car making expertise. Trying to build things like self-driving cars has led to technological developments in areas like artificial intelligence and computer vision.
Watching a girl who's blind using technology to steer herself as she's jogging around a track. Are we good to give this a go?
And startups in the Yangtze Delta are jumping on these innovations and applying them to solve totally different problems.
It's so different when you can't verify with your eyesight. It's a bit of a sensory overload at first.
Angel Eye is a bit of extraordinary wearable tech that allows blind people to navigate their world using sensors and AI, similar to that used in autonomous cars.
From all the beam, 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 I definitely feel like I'm about to crash.
The glasses have two cameras that act just like our eyes to work out where obstacles are and, because they're a stereo pair, how far away they are. AI analyses what the cameras see and feeds back beeps through the user's skull so they can still hear normally. Just like a car reversing sensor, the closer you are, the faster it beeps.
There's so many beeps right now that it's indicating to me that there's not a great deal of space to move whichever way I'm facing.
A second, different beep on either the left or right side tells you where the obstacle is.
The beeps start to make a lot of sense after a while. And based on where you look, you can go, okay, so it's a low object, not a high object. I want to give it another go.
The man behind this life-changing idea is Feng Jinpeng.
These smart glasses act like a small robot.
And what's impressive is how Feng's managed to get that tech into a 45-gram pair of glasses.
When it comes to a lot of the stereoscopic cameras I've used in the past, they've been bigger, heavier. This looks like you've miniaturized it.
So you can see we have two cameras here and there. So this one less than 6 grams. It's very light.
AI requires a lot of computer power, which at the moment at least would be way too heavy to put into a pair of glasses. So he's used some hardware we all carry with us anyway.
If I put all those computing power inside this will be 200 grams heavier than the current, and people cannot tolerate that. This cable not only transmits the data, but the power as well. Inside this smart glasses, there's no battery.
That's a really great solution.
The fact that Feng has improved the AI so it can all be processed in a phone is an extraordinary achievement. And even more so when you think it doesn't just detect obstacles. Feng's AI can actually understand what it's looking at.
瓶子1米内。
His team have explained time after time to their software what everyday objects look like. Eventually the computer starts to recognize for itself the recurring and unique patterns that make up those objects. It can even read Chinese characters.
100元1米内，
In effect, it allows blind users to see.
5元1米内，
This kind of deep learning would have been impossible just a few years ago, especially in a processor that fits in your pocket. Di Xiahui had a tumour, or retinoblastoma, in her eye, and with no known cure, doctors had to remove her eyeballs.
我是在8岁左右失明的，那只有就是把眼球摘除了之后，然后才能保住生命嘛。为了活下来，所以就失去光明。
Feng's tech has allowed her to do something awe-inspiring.
This device will give notification to make sure she right in the middle of the lane.
This is such a great use of technology.
To me, it's something only a startup could achieve. Feng might never get rich from his idea, but he's done something truly worthwhile.
之前的话，可能需要有小伙伴陪我一起，通过陪跑绳或者手拉手的方式，然后才能跑起来。但是现在如果通过这样一个产品的话，就可以一个人自由的在这种跑道上面跑起来。
This, to me, is what tech is all about. This amazing AI has allowed someone who hasn't seen for more than 15 years to do something she loves. Being here in the Yangtze Delta, home of China's car and silicon chip industries, has enabled Angel Eye to flourish. Shanghai is also China's epicenter of fashion and finance, and startups in the city are aiming to disrupt those industries too. Shanghai is perhaps China's most stylish city. It's synonymous with high fashion, sophistication, and glamour. Clothes from this fashion designer are combining that love of style with one of the world's most exciting technologies.
This seemed like the coolest way to do like fashion tech. It's usually like shoes that light up. And now we have a technology that connects clothing directly to your phone.
The man behind this high fashion wearable tech is Shan Dejun.
We have chip inside of the cloth. You can just put it near here and wait a second. It will show you how it looks like it's on a model.
By scanning a chip with your phone, you can see hidden videos, access special deals, or even upload a selfie.
We can take a picture together and then upload it.
It's like you add to the story of your clothing.
Yes, we are trying to give the clothes a spirit and the soul.
Adding chips is a fun way of connecting fashion brands to the Instagram generation, making clothes truly interactive for consumers that love the mobile phone. But it's not what makes this tech so revolutionary. What is the way all this unique information is stored.
Technology is called the blockchain, and it's been described by some as the most disruptive invention since the internet itself.
Blockchain is what makes cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin secure, and it promises a totally new, totally unhackable way of storing information that could end counterfeiting.
Each item of clothing has a chip inside it, and so when this chip gets scanned for the first time, it begins its life on the blockchain.
The encrypted information is stored in a digital block. The reason it's so secure is that every 3 minutes, a new block is generated, completely closing off and securing the data in the previous blocks in the chain. Any new information, like a selfie being taken, is added to the latest block before it too is closed. Because earlier blocks are locked away, the data is fully secure. They can still be read, but can't be amended. And this is the genius of Chan's idea. A staggering 2% of all global trade is in counterfeit and pirated goods, costing businesses nearly $2 trillion a year, requiring extra law enforcement, costing jobs, and in some cases like fake baby food or medicines, causing serious health risks. And that's why this application of blockchain is so important.
can see this one is the genuine one, and you can see when it is produced, where it is produced, the retailer, the distributor. It really tells you the story about the product.
And the blockchain makes it completely secure.
That's the beauty of the blockchain. It's tamper-proof.
This unhackable digital paper trail could revolutionize any industry where it's vital to know the history of something.
We can help the healthcare industry to track and trace the medicine, the wine and spirits. And also we're trying to help the jockey club and to put some chip inside of the neck of the horse to record the breeder, the owner.
In fact, this technology has the potential to change pretty much anywhere it's essential to have secure records, such as elections.
Blockchain could eliminate voter fraud, make data sent via the Internet of Things unhackable. It could guarantee the origins of your food or even secure the data of your own life, like your education or medical history.
Blockchain is revolutionizing finance, and Shanghai is right at the center of those financial innovations. Thanks to BitSE, it's revolutionizing the fight against fakes too. It's the perfect Shanghai idea, a fusion of two pillars of the city, fashion and finance. The love of fashion and this region's place as the shopping capital of China has also led to a well-established advertising industry here. An industry that could be transformed by an idea straight out of sci-fi.
I'm Dr. Jordan Nguyen. Being an inventor and entrepreneur, I've come to China to see how the technology and innovations of startups here are changing our world.
Many of them in the Yangtze Delta are hooking into the latest tech trends like artificial intelligence and the blockchain to revitalize industries that are already established here, like fashion and car making. And there's one company using another super hot tech area, nanotechnology, to reboot advertising. Behind these doors, a small startup is working on a discovery that could turn ordinary glass into space for advertising. These crystals, just a few atoms across, mean any window in a shop, taxi, or even your home could be used as a display. Netcar founder Chen Jia got his inspiration from Hollywood.
We saw one movie, Minority Report, and then Tom Cruise can show the video, show some pictures, show something, other documents on the window. Oh, it's so cool, so fantastic. How to make it happen?
Chen has created a screen where you can see something on it as well as see through it. The secret is special photonic nanocrystals, just a few atoms across. They are exactly the right size to capture certain frequencies of light, the greens and yellows, which bounce around inside the crystals, making them glow. A special projector converts images to these specific frequencies, so they are effectively caught by the glass and the image is clearly displayed. Light at the red and blue wavelengths, the most visible part of normal light, travels straight through.
You can see the real flower there, and you also can see me. I can play the video for this flower to tell my customer where this flower from, what's the country, what's the age. It's very good for communication.
What makes this tech even more sci-fi to me is that additional infrared sensors mean the image can be manipulated by hand.
You can enlarge it, small it, you can rotate it.
That's cool.
Chen's company is still in its really early stages and they're still exploring what opportunities there are. But the opportunities are huge in entertainment, classrooms, or perfect for this fashion-mad city, advertising.
You can see, you can display picture, video, word. I suppose today they feel very happy. They will show, I'm happy. You can kiss me back. Xbox is only for young people. Young people like this word.
Chen left a well-paid job at a major international company to pursue this idea, something his mum thought was mad. Although the tech isn't fully fledged yet, this is a great example of how innovation occurs. I just love the fact that Chen saw something in a film and made it happen.
Sci-fi often gives us an idea of the future and even ideas to pursue. And nanotechnology is an important field that we may not have seen too many visible applications of. But this new company have combined their sci-fi inspiration with their expertise in nanotechnology to create a low-cost, futuristic product.
The Yangtze Delta has been the richest and most glamorous area of China since international traders first came here in the 1840s. That wealth and a love of trade have combined to inspire startups here. It's no surprise it's also at the centre of huge changes in the way China shops now. And it's all thanks to what might be the region's most famous company, Alibaba.
Look at this. This is how most of China shopped until quite recently. But Alibaba created a virtual bazaar. It's just like what everyone was already used to. It's busy, it's sociable, it's energetic.
It's just now, it's online. It's a huge change. Alibaba did more than anyone to get people here used to doing things online. There are now 700 million internet users in China. Consumers spent more than $750 billion via the web in 2016, and Alibaba accounted for 3/4 of all transactions. It's not a startup itself after floating for $25 billion in 2014, but for me, it might just be the most important company in China's startup revolution. Its enormous success in changing the way China shops has provided both infrastructure and inspiration to thousands of entrepreneurs trying to capitalize on the mobile internet revolution. In fact, Alibaba has funded dozens of companies to foster new ideas with the nimbleness and kung fu attitude of a startup.
Can deliver the packages to my colleagues all by itself.
Like Sign Yao, a delivery robot that uses autonomous tech often found in self-driving cars to provide last-kilometre deliveries in small towns where postal services and couriers find it expensive to reach. It's being trialled on Alibaba's huge campus. It's an enormous task. 13,000 people work here with 3,000 packages a day delivered. This robot has used artificial intelligence to learn every inch of this mega campus and has GPS to tell it where it is.
You will scan the code and it will make sure it's the receiver.
With cameras and ultrasonic sensors, just like those used in autonomous cars, it can find its way to any desk without any help or any accidents.
There he goes back to the post office, finding his own way.
And Alibaba itself has even provided those very entrepreneurs. At least 130 companies have been set up by former Alibaba employees.
This is Lightning Store. It's an app that you use if you want to buy small products from the local store and get them quickly. So if I want to get blueberries, I select the blueberries and they should be here within half an hour.
The idea came from a man who had worked for Alibaba for more than 10 years, Wang Yongsun. Wang sold all his shares to found his startup, spotting the one massive area yet to be transformed by e-commerce, super fast delivery. It's the perfect example of a startup, like so many in this region, using the internet to do things faster and better.
我觉得这才是真正代表移动互联网年轻人对于速度、对于方便的极致的追求，所以他们都选择在闪电杠上面下楼买东西，所以15分钟、半个小时东西收完整。
先生您好，这是您在闪电杠下面可以来去查的。
Yeah.
There's my delivery already.
Lightning Store now covers 30 cities across China, with 5,000 orders a day placed in Hangzhou alone. And it was all made possible by the revolution in the Chinese economy brought about by Alibaba.
Alibaba has had phenomenal success in taking China online, but it's also had a massive impact on the next generation of young entrepreneurs.
A third of all e-commerce startups in China, like Lightning Store, now come from Alibaba's hometown, Hangzhou. And this region's place as the centre of Chinese commerce and trading looks set to continue. But Alibaba's influence goes beyond just shopping. It's now looking to take everything online, even cars. This car is the Rollway RX-5. 5,000 were sold in its first year. Now they're selling 20,000 a month. The man behind this car's astonishing turnaround is Fan Haoyu.
30按钮 shooting 正在拍摄，其实非常有意思。
This is China's first internet car, and it comes from a startup founded by Alibaba. The car is equipped with 4G and Wi-Fi, as well as its own operating system, making the car itself an internet hub. And that means it can do some pretty cool things, like control a drone.
We can bring up the view of the drone. It's all being controlled from your steering wheel as well.
Flying a drone with your car is fun and perfect for a generation who love social media and epic selfies. But it could control anything connected to the internet, turning on your air conditioning or heating as you drive home, for example. It's dragging the car onto the Internet of Things. It can even talk to other cars.
然后我们的队长还可以画出一条轨迹，让别人来跟随。
It can find gas stations or make restaurant reservations, all without having to use a phone. And it can automatically use internet payments to pay for things like coffee or parking.
这个通知弹出以后，其实是我们车辆已经支付成功，并且已经跟这个停车场做完了整个的结算。
It's a cool car that looks forward, not back, that has captured the imagination of tech-savvy consumers in China. And it's fascinating it comes from a Yangtze Delta startup founded by an internet company, Alibaba. Cars are central to life in China's cities, but there's a company that is using one of China's latest tech fads to give perhaps our most basic requirement a 21st century update. 3D printing has made its way into all sorts of walks of life, but nowhere in the world has it taken off quite like China. These are some of the most awesome examples I've ever seen.
It looks like a shoe for some beast out of sci-fi.
3D printing is used by around a third of companies here for prototyping and has the potential to completely disrupt manufacturing. But I'm about to visit a company that's 3D printing something much, much bigger. This is something I've never seen before, and it's definitely putting this region on the 3D printing map. That's a 3D printed house. The man behind this extraordinary idea is Ma Yihe.
我去一个工地上去看到现场的工人顶着烈日，然后又非常的危险。这个在那个地方造房子，哎，我们想为什么不能像造汽车和造飞机一样来造房子呢？我们花了3天的时间打完了这个房子。这个房子呢，就是我们1天1层，3天打完，1个星期安装完的这个房子。这个房子我不告诉你是打印的，你是看不出来的，和我们传统的房子外观是一模一样的。
The houses here are printed in much the same way as any 3D printer, just on a much, much bigger scale.
You can see from the layers here that it prints everything up layer by layer, except this one is much bigger and it's printing out cement as its material.
The key to it is a huge 7-meter tall printer that piles up layer after layer of a special mix of cement and recycled construction waste. The design is plotted on a computer and the head simply prints out the pieces to be assembled on site. The special pattern makes it super strong.
这是我们为迪拜打的第一个房子，做测试的一个房子。但是这个强度呢，我们做测试的时候，这个房子是压了28吨，1天半才有一点裂纹，但是还没有弹。那比我们传统的方法，这个300厚的混凝土，浪费了那么多的混凝土的房子，强度整整高了3倍。
The technique is so strong, it's been used to construct a 5-story building. And like I've seen so often in China, the technology is also being used to retain a bit of China's past. The 3D printing is so versatile, it can even recreate houses that have traditionally taken master craftsmen up to a year to build.
那么这种工匠呢，现在越来越少，建造的成本也越来越大。那1个星期就可以把这个房子打好了。
That's beautiful.
谢谢。哎，希望你来中国买我们这样的房子住啊。
The houses can be built 30 times quicker than manual methods, and that means costs can be reduced by 70%. And because the cement used to print the houses uses recycled materials, it's much more environmentally friendly in a country publicly committed to improving its environmental record. Ma nearly went bust pursuing this project. It was his faith that kept this idea alive, and it's another great example of Yangtze Delta entrepreneurs pursuing their dreams. But those very industries that gave the region its prior success have also turned it into one of the most densely populated regions on the planet, and startups are coming up with solutions here too. I came to the Yangtze Delta to see how this area is affecting the startups that flourish here. The best of them are building on this region's long history in automotive, fashion and finance, inspired by what's gone before and using tech to reboot them. But the success of the region has also made it hugely overcrowded. Startups are also looking for high-tech solutions to problems caused by that explosive urbanisation, like parking. Hikvision Robotics is a startup that has adapted technology used in warehouses to take parking into the future. You simply drive the car into the reception area and scan a code to start your parking session. The robot swings into life and parks the car flawlessly, leaving you free to get on with your shopping. The whole process takes about 2 minutes.
Kind of like little bugs that hide under everything. I think they're kind of cute.
The system is the brainchild of Zhu Kefang.
然后你看，我们这里有铺设着非常多的二维码，这么多的二维码铺设好之后，它就形成了一张地图，然后再通过我们的那个控制系统作为大脑，对那个 AGV 进行控制 ，AGV 就能够实现到这个停车场里面的任何位置。
The QR codes on the floor are read by cameras on the bottom of the robot, telling it where it is at any given time and which way to turn. This system can increase the usable space for parking by 40%.
You can see from all this here how many more cars you can pack into this space when a robot's parking them.
Solving traffic problems is vital for areas like the Yangtze Delta. By some measures, Shanghai is the most populated city in the world. But that pressure has meant this region has also become a world leader in developing what's called an intelligent transport system, using super smart tech to monitor and improve traffic flow. And Hikvision has some pretty clever ways of doing that.
Our cameras are like the smart cameras. We can have the traffic heat map, so we can also know where there's more traffic, where there's less traffic, so the control room can get those notifications right away and they can respond immediately.
The core of the system is super smart cameras that can count the number of cars coming past automatically, track their journeys, and feed all that big data back to the cloud as it happens. To make sure nothing can stop them collecting data, they've invented some impressive camera tech.
This design gets rid of fog in the camera vision.
And there's one camera here that does something I've never seen before.
That is so clear, that's incredible. This camera can completely see in the dark, but it can also see colour. It looks as bright as day.
Cameras like these are all contributing to the Yangtze Delta's place as a world leader in data collection and its applications in things like smart cities. And it's another reason the internet car is important.
It's not just like taking a smartphone or a tablet and jamming it into the dashboard.
In fact, almost every part of this car is connected to the internet. Improving traffic in China depends on understanding it, and the key to that is data. While fixed cameras collect lots of data at specific points, this car can collect it everywhere it goes. As well as cameras on the car, sensors in the suspension, for example, could collect information about the roads it's driving on, feeding it back to the cloud, keeping the Yangtze Delta at the leading edge of smart city technology.
那么，当我们优化这一部分之后的话，再加上整个城市大脑，包括整个系统的优化，我相信这交通一定会变得很美好。而且我们坚信这件事情一定会率先在中国产生。为什么呢？因为中国对于这件事情的需求是迫切的，因为每年中国因为交通的这种拥堵所造成的浪费是极大的，那我们这个需求很强烈。
Transport is a major issue here, and it's clear to see how the region's problems, like congestion, are inspiring startup solutions. But there's no doubt they're drawing on its advantages too. This is one of China's most cosmopolitan areas, outward-looking and international. And NIO is a great example of a company using Shanghai as the core of a business that spans the world.
我们的 headquarters 是在上海，因为上海这边有很多来自于全世界各地的这个优秀的工程师、汽车工程师。当然，确确实实，我们把自己定位为一个源自上海的 global 的 startup。事实上，我们现在全球2000多名的同事，有600多人是在欧洲和美国。
And for me, it's that global thinking that helped NIO's success and what defines startups from this part of China. I think it's a brilliant example of how a startup can succeed, maximizing talent, but also by starting at the very top, something it seems to me Shanghai expects. The EP9 isn't really the ultimate aim for the company. It's a showpiece to promote what electric cars can do. They're now taking that expertise to mass market cars. In their R&D centre, they're testing their first product, an SUV, to make sure their high-end technology translates to the road. There's a genius twist borrowed from the hypercar that I think will separate NIO's cars from all the rest.
In China market, no motor car can replace the battery. We first to do this.
Many electric cars have the battery built into the chassis, so there's no alternative but to wait while they charge. Still often a painfully slow process, even with super fast chargers.
Here is our quick connection. So on the customer vehicle, we can exchange the battery very quickly.
Instead of turning up to a service station and charging it and waiting for it, you could just have your battery replaced and be on your way.
It also means the whole car doesn't need to be thrown away at the end of the battery's lifetime, which could be as short as 8 years.
Our target is to make electrical vehicle more convenient than the traditional vehicle.
What amazes me most about NIO is the sheer speed of their development. It's taken less than 2.5 years to get from a championship-winning race car to their first mass-market one.
当然，作为一个 founder， 我的责任是让整个的 team 能够 move very fast， 去，因为竞争是非常激烈的，所以当然 move fast 是一个创业公司必须的一个基本的一个能力。
It's exactly the reason startups here are beginning to rival the big international companies that so often make Shanghai their Chinese home. They're using creative and lateral thinking to apply the latest tech ideas to disrupt existing sectors or solve the area's highly visible problems. The Yangtze Delta is clearly a truly inspiring place to start a business. Startups here have succeeded because they've looked at what's already here and used the hottest tech trends to do it better. And there's one company that I think sums up everything about this region and why startups are flourishing. A super cool company that is at the forefront of style and financial innovation. A startup that's regenerating Shanghai to provide other startups with ultra-stylish workspaces. The man helping revitalize Shanghai is Feng Yintao.
This is one of the oldest buildings in Shanghai, built by Carlos & Co. in 1898. We want to create a modern space but also reserve the heritage of this building. After the whole thing is done, I hope it will be the coolest co-working space in Shanghai.
It's an epic project that will preserve part of Shanghai's historic trading district while offering working space for future startup revolutionaries. But what's really interesting about Feng's startup is a financial innovation he's come up with that completely disrupts the way renovations in the city are funded. Yimmy Howdy. Developers looking to undertake a new project advertise on Yimmy Howdy, where individual investors contribute anything from 100 yuan to the entire cost of development. It's crowdsourcing for renovations. Instead of banks lending the money, ordinary people step in, getting as much as 12% interest. But here's the clever bit. All the developers must have previously successful projects, and the investors get paid back with the profits from these. Because ongoing rents from a completed renovation are used to pay back the loans, it's very low risk to the investors. It's part of a microfinance revolution here in China, with Shanghai at its centre. Perhaps inspired by the city's place as one of Asia's most important finance hubs, nowhere are more companies coming up with new and exciting alternative lending sources than in Shanghai. And it's brought about in large part by the internet boom created by Alibaba. But what I particularly love is how the idea is so well suited to the city it comes from.
The thing with Shanghai is obviously it's the largest city in China, and because the population is so crowded, the living space in Shanghai is much smaller. So that's actually created the perfect niche for Yimmy Howdy to start in Shanghai.
Really, you found that need and you just jumped on it. That's where good innovation comes from, isn't it?
The internet actually created the opportunity to this great leap forward.
上海一个非常老的一个药房和一个楼上是他们都是一些棋牌室，整个的状态非常糟糕。
Yimmy Howdy has now successfully raised more than 300 million yuan for over 350 renovation projects, like this one from property developer Yu Ding. He's turned a rundown pharmacy into an ultra-cool live-work space, perfect for this city's booming startups.
That's my kind of startup office space. You've got all the desks, you can sit and do your work, and then if you get tired, you can have a nap.
It's offered new life to dilapidated old buildings, preserving Shanghai's heritage and solving the need for space required by an ever-growing millennial population.
那我一直觉得老房改造这一块以后应该是上海整个的发展趋势。
I love this idea. It's a perfect bit of innovation, combining the problem of a lack of space with an opportunity created by both the startup revolution as well as the extraordinary internet boom here in China.
It's another example of how entrepreneurs in China are putting the internet at the center of everything. And it feels like an idea that's sprung directly out of what's unique about the city.
It's become obvious the Yangtze Delta is truly fertile land for startups. Entrepreneurs have found creative ways to apply new technology to this region's most successful sectors, striking out on their own to change the direction of powerhouses like finance, automotive, and e-commerce, and thinking laterally to come up with completely new ways to apply new technologies like AI and computer vision. They've built on this region's commercial and trading heritage and its status as one of Asia's leading financial centres, and exploited the outward-looking and glamorous nature of this most cosmopolitan region.
The Yangtze Delta is certainly a thriving hub of tech innovation, a real gateway to the world for China. It's very much connected with the major global technological trends, but always with its own unique creative character in everything I've seen. It's a vibrant example of this booming revolution in China, and it's making its mark on the world.